If you guys are still playing FC24 and you want some cheap coins, make sure you check out MMOEXP.com. Their link is down in the description. They're very cheap, they're very reliable, and if you do use my code Rema, it will give you a lovely 5% discount off your order. So what's up guys, it's Ash here and welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Sorry if it's a bit late again today. I've been mentally recovering and physically recovering from that England game. It was quite stressful with the penalties and yeah, I was struggling a bit today to say the least. But yeah, we're back with another video. Hope you guys are doing great as always. And we have some 424 custom tactics and player instructions to help you out in FC24 if you are one of the unfortunate people that are still playing this game. So yeah, I hope you guys do enjoy the video. Please be sure to drop it a thumbs up as it does help me out with that algorithm. Don't forget to sub if you are new and turn on those notifications as well. And yeah, with all that aside guys, let's get right into today's video. I hope you enjoy. Alrighty then guys, so starting off with the tactics for the 4-2-4. For the defensive style guys, I pop it on balanced as always, as I think it gives you the best control when you are defending. I say this all the time, but essentially when you want to be aggressive and press you can. And when you want to drop off and be a bit more passive, you can also do that. So it does give you that control that the other settings don't give you. That being said, if you're one of these people that prefer like pressure tactics, like constant pressure, go right ahead. You can still use that. This is just my suggestion. So you guys can always tweak the tactics to your own needs. Moving on to the defensive width, guys. Again, this has changed a bit in recent times. I used to be a big advocate for 45 width, but the reason I stopped using it and lowered it by 10 to 35 is because there was too many gaps when I was defending. You know, there was just too many spaces for the opponents pass through the middle, and I didn't like it. So I've gone to 35. So we have that 100% narrow and compact defense. So we block out all those attacks through the middle and make it as difficult as possible for our opponent to get through. The reason we don't go any lower, and the reason I think this is pretty good, is because we still have decent coverage of the wider areas in case an opponent goes down the wing. So it's hard for them to attack through the middle, and it's also not easy for them to go down the wing either. My advice for the defensive width, though, if you want to change it, would be like 35 to 45, but I am using 35 at the moment. Moving on to the depth, you can pretty much use whatever you want for the depth. What a lot of people like to do on this game at the moment is they'll use 100 depth, and what this does is it gives you a very high defensive line. You can see as I adjust it down and up, you'll see it pushes the team forward. And when you have it on 100 depth, guys, your back line is actually positioned in front of their strikers. So that's how aggressive this can be. And the thing which makes this very overpowered is you get the automatic press from the AI, which means a lot of the players are marked. It congests the middle of the area, middle of the pitch, sorry, and makes it very difficult to play through. So a lot of people are using this, and if you struggle defensively, this can actually work quite well. If you like the idea of that automatic press but maybe want a bit of a lower defensive line, what people do is they put it on 71, where you still have that press from the AI. The defensive line is just a little bit lower. You can see it actually behind the strikers now. So 100 or 71 if you're one of those people, or if you're like me and want to have more control of your defense but still keep a decently high defensive line, you can use something like 60 or 65. This is just good for people that are a bit more manually capable of defending and want a bit more control. If this is still too high for you, you can lower it even more. For the build-up play, we pop it on balanced, as I believe it to be the most consistent and the most fluid way to build up. When you use balance, guys, you can pretty much pick between all of these styles whenever you want. If you want to play slow, for example, you can. If you want to speed up and play a bit quicker, you can also do that. You can also ping some long balls as well, depending on the instructions you're using. What I will say is these individual settings are pretty terrible. They don't work as you would think. So like slow build-up doesn't help you build up slowly. It just makes your players move around like really lazily and very predictable. Fast build-up is just very chaotic. The only one you make an argument for, I would say, is long ball. But again, you have to be a person that is fully committed to pinging long balls for this to be effective. So I'd say balanced or long ball. Now for the chance creation, I recommend direct passing as always. It's pretty much the only way to consistently create chances in this Park the Bus simulator. It's a very push forward, track back kind of movement, which allows you to pass the ball across and cut back. It's very boring, but it's very effective in the current state of this game. So I think this one is an absolute must, regardless of what you want to use. Now for the attacking width, this one you do have a lot of freedom with, to be honest. You can use what you like. All you really need to know is the lower the width, the more narrow your attack, and the higher it is, the wider it is. So I don't suggest going too far extreme either way. You know, I wouldn't go like 25, for example, and I wouldn't go like 90. So I'd say like 40 to 70, depending on what kind of player you are. Now for the players in the box, I have it on 7. It's a good balance for me. Get quite a few players into that area without fully overcommitting to the point where you're going to get counter-attacked if you lose out on possession. And then for the corners and the free kicks, guys, I have them both on 3, but you can do what you want with that. Now, moving on to the player instructions, guys, a lot of them are pretty basic, but again, this game's very linear. What works, works, and you can't really change a lot of it, unfortunately. So for the 2 strikers, we have them on stay central and getting behind. By far the most effective instructions to have on strikers in this game. You know, we don't need these players drifting out wide. We have wingers, so we want them to be in the middle so we can rely upon them. You know, you always know where they are. And we also have them on getting behind to force movements out of them. This is especially important if your opponent is using a pressure tactic or that 100 depth thing we were talking about. If you have these players on mixed attack and they are using that pressure tactic, these players just don't move. You know, they're very static and they don't help you out. So getting behind forces movement out of them regardless of what tactic your opponent is using. Moving on to the wingers, so both the left winger and the right winger, we have them on comeback on defence, get in behind and get into the box for cross. So we have them on comeback on defence because it makes it defend in a 4-4-2 shape. This is probably the most important instruction to have in this formation, especially because if you look at this team, there's just 2 centre mids and that's it. There's so much space in that midfield and we need to cover that space to prevent it being too easy for our opponent. So by putting these wingers on comeback on defence, they'll sit next to those 2 centre mids, making it much more defensively stable when you don't have the ball. So very important to have this one on. We also have get in behind because obviously they are wingers. We want them to move. We want them to run. Pretty self-explanatory. And also get into the box across so they don't hesitate in getting into the penalty area. Another thing you can do is put them on cut inside as well if you want them to make those inverted runs. But I've just been experimenting with balanced and it's been fine as well. Moving on to the left centre mid, so this is my more defensive minded midfielder. On this player, we have him on stay back while attacking and cover centre. So stay back brings that balance to the midfield. I always suggest having at least 1 defensive centre mid because that balance is very important, you know. So this guy, the more defensive one, Rice, stay back and cover centre, so he'll cover the middle area because like I said, guys, we have the wingers coming back to cover those wider areas, so we don't need this player to do that. Now for the right centre mid, we use more of a box-to-box style player, somebody that will attack and defend, help with transitions, that kind of thing, do a bit of everything, Jude Bellingham. So we just leave them on the default settings so that they can do that. The only thing we change is cover centre again, like the other centre mid, so they'll cover the middle area as opposed to the wing, because like I said, we have the wingers coming back to cover those wider areas. Now moving on to the fullback, whichever one is your most attacking one, I pop them on balanced attack and overlap. So my right back Walker, I pop them on balanced attack and overlap. This is to just give us even more width in our attack. The 4-2-4 can be pretty wide depending on the tactics you use, but I just like having that extra width. It's very, very effective, stretches out the opponent's defense and gives you much more options. If you have a player with like width pass plus as well, it can be even better. But yeah, balanced overlap, I really like this on the fullback, but you guys don't have to do this if you don't want. For the other fullback, I have them on stay back and overlap. This is to bring balance to the defense, so we always have at least 3 defenders back at a time, which makes us defensively sound, and then overlap again. So if we send them on the run forward, they'll make the overlapping run to add that extra width. For the 2 centre-backs, we leave them alone, and the keeper guys, we also leave them alone. But yeah, they are the tactics and instructions for the 4-2-4. I hope you guys have found this useful. If you have, please be sure to drop it a thumbs up, sub to the channel if you are new, and don't forget to turn on those notifications. And with all that aside, guys, hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace out, guys. Take care.